Sup, everyone. Welcome to the week four picks of the NFL on the Flea Flicker with Joey D right over there. I'm Timmy B, of course. Now, Joey D, how are you doing today, my friend?
Tim, I'm doing great. Very refreshed. Got a good night's sleep last night. Saw some high school football.
Ooh.
Went to Brooks' homecoming high school football game. Patrick Henry blew out Charleston Collegiate or whatever, and it was awesome. It was great to get and watch some Friday Night Lights and watch some live football. It was a lot of fun. We're doing great, Timmy B. Now it's college football on all day, baby.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely sounds like a fun Friday night to see some live football for sure. And let's just hop right into the Thursday night football recap. We got the Bengals defeating the Jaguars 24-21 on a last second field goal. Jaguars were up 14 nothing at a half. Could have been three scores, could have been 17 nothing or even 21 nothing, but they decided to go for it and they didn't get it. Shout out to the Bengals defense. And then the second half was all Bengals entirely. The defense stepped up. Joe Burrow was throwing like crazy, and they pull off the comeback, which is great because, Joe, we both picked the Bengals, so we're starting off 1-0. But I was a little shocked at when I saw the score at halftime, like, needless to say. And definitely, Urban Meyer, you got to take the points there. You got to go up three scores.
Yeah, I was definitely concerned. I actually picked the Bengals this week in my suicide
Joe,
pool.
we got you got to tell me who you picked. That way, I know to maybe hedge that bet.
I know. Well, I felt like this is one of the only games that the Bengals,
Hmm.
should win, especially right now, coming off that big win last week. So glad that worked out. I was up late watching it, and butt was clenched tight, so worked out well. But it was a great second half by the Bengals. Joe Burrow has talked about how they've really been a second half team this year,
Hmm.
and I know we had kind of talked about going into this game, if the Bengals are able to handle the Jags, maybe they're better. If they struggle or lose, maybe they're not as good as we thought, and the Steelers are just worse. Um, so with them struggling, that does kind of, make me be a little bit
Hmm.
more down on the Bengals. But at the same time, coming back from a 14-0 deficit, in years past, that's something we never would have seen out of Cincinnati. So I think it is still, a great win for them. They're 3-1,
Hmm.
right up there in the AFC North right now. So we'll see how it all shakes out. But it was a great win by Cincinnati to just come from behind and never stop fighting throughout the game. Again, not something that we've seen out of them the last couple of years. So I thought that was
Hmm.
very encouraging.
Yeah, and it's definitely nice as well for the Bengals to get this win and be 3-1 because they still have the Ravens twice, the Browns twice, the Packers. They have, I believe, the 49ers as well. So the schedule's a little bit tougher. So get these wins while you can. But let's hop into the week four picks. Before we get started with the week four picks, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. We are on the road to 100 billion likes for IT Joe. Since, as you guys can see in the background of Joe, he turned on those closed captioning, those subtitles for his beautiful wife, Brooke. So IT Joe wants 100 billion likes. So hit that
And
thumbs
that's
up button.
that's that's a little bit more difficult than you might imagine. Just
Right.
through my Xbox, this is the first time I ever threw closed captions on there, so wasn't sure how to do it, but figured it out. Now I'm IT Joe.
Love to hear that. Also, subscribe to our channel as well. Now, let's hop into the first game. Joe, I really don't want to pick a winner in this one. We got the Detroit Lions at the Chicago Bears. The Bears are actually still a 3-point favorite. The over under is 41. Matt Nagy said that it's a game time decision on who the starting quarterback is. So it's definitely going to end up being Nick Foles for sure. But
Yes.
I'm going to go with the Lions. I just like the way they're playing. I don't like the Bears. I think there's a lot of bad juju happening in the locker room. I think just because of the quarterback decision, the way Matt Nagy is calling these offensive plays, the Lions to me are just the safer pick in this one. So I'm going to go with the Lions in this one.
Tim, I completely agree. The only wild card that could be thrown into this mix, you already referenced him, Saint Nick Foles himself. If I knew going into this game that Nick Foles was the starter, I'd probably pick the Bears because it's a very Nick Foles esque game to win. And who knows? He might still come in the second half if the Bears are losing and bring them all the way back. But like you said, I mean, the Lions have been playing really tough football. They played well against the Packers. They played well against the Ravens. This with the way the Bears have been playing and with Matt Nagy not knowing who his quarterback is going to be allegedly until game time. How do you prepare an offensive game plan for that? When you have three different quarterbacks with varying skill sets, I don't see I don't see how this works out well or the offense really gets going against Detroit, except for the fact that their secondary's, pretty bad. So whoever's in at quarterback, if they can take advantage, then that's really the formula for this game. But that Lions D line and front seven has been playing a lot better than people really give them credit for. And with how poorly the Bears' offensive line is playing, I really think that's going to be the difference in this game. And the Lions' defense just really going to continue to give that Bears offense trouble, and they'll come out with the win. That's where I'm at on it.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, who would have thought we'd both be picking the Lions in Week 4 of the NFL season? But they've been a little, despite being 0-3, a little bit surprising so far with the way that they've been playing. So let's go Lions, and we'll see who the Bears quarterback is. Now moving on, Joseph. We got the Texans at the Bills. The Bills are a 17-point favorite. The over-under is 47. I think we're going to go with the Bills here, Joe. But my question is, do you think they're going to cover? Do you think 17 is very, very high in the NFL? Do you think the Bills can pull it off, or do you think the Texans might cover here?
I'd say the Texans probably cover. I mean, they've been playing a lot better than people expect. Sorry, I think my cat was trying to drink my iced coffee behind me. She did drink it, but Brooke rescued it, so now I'll have a caffeinated kitten. So that's
Woo!
great. That's how my day's gonna go. I just feel like the Texans have been playing. Oh, I just remember it's Davis Mills. Oh,
Yeah.
never mind, never mind. They're not gonna cover. Nope, nope. Yeah, that's where I'm at there. I mean, Davis Mills. He played, I think, about as expected for or probably a little bit better than people expected against Carolina. I mean, no big plays, just try to manufacture some easy throws, screens, rub routes, drags, all that good stuff just to get some people wide open for him. I just don't see that being, enough of a
Mhm.
formula to beat, a top team like the Bills. Yeah, I don't think they cover or really come close.
Yeah, even after the extra day and Davis Mills being the starter for an extra couple of days playing on Thursday night football, I just don't think this will be close. Bills are going to dominate and win this game. Probably will cover as well, but 17 is really high in the NFL. But we're all on the Bills, obviously. Now another game between well, this is a game that a team really needs to win here. We got the football team at the Falcons. Football team is a 1.5 point road favorite right now, and the over under is 47.5. And I just said it, Joe. This is a game that the football team needs to win, get their defense back on track, out of the bottom half of the league, bottom third, even bottom five, even
I
in the
think they're
league.
31st.
Yeah, so they definitely have to perform well against this Falcons team. So yeah, what are your thoughts and who's your pick for this one?
Yeah, I mean, the Falcons' offensive line is not very good.
Mhm.
So, on paper, I would see, the D line of Washington being able to dominate this game. I mean, Falcons don't have any sort of run game to speak of. They've got two playmakers for them really on offense, and Calvin Ridley and Kyle Pitts. We still haven't seen a ton out of. So I think that the Reds Washington's defense is just gonna, you know, they've got to get it together. They've got to get
Mhm.
back on track. This should be a get right game for the defense and Chase Young. And hopefully, on offense, Heineke, McLaurin, Antonio Gibson, these guys can kind of keep the ball moving and Heineke can just not turn the ball over.
Mhm.
Curtis Samuel should be back as well. So he'll be making his season debut for Washington. I think that Washington should be able to get out of there with the win. I really need to see this defense step up and really take over a game and get back on track because if that defense is not elite, then this team isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going with the football team as well. And if you take away the turnovers and in the second half, they were moving the ball pretty well with Heineke and Antonio Gibson and Terry McLaurin against the Bills. If you take away the turnovers, maybe that's not a 43-21 type of game, of course. I mean, but the defense needs a lot of work. And this is a good team to do it against with the Falcons. They have Kyle Pitts, Calvin Ridley, very decent running back, and Mike Davis as well. So the Falcons have some offensive weapons. So if there's a good game to get your defense rolling and maybe to get a couple of stops, couple of turnovers, it's against this Falcons team. This isn't the Jets or the Giants or whoever. So this will be a good matchup for the football team, and definitely excited. And speaking of those New York Giants, they are on the road at the Jameis Winston New Orleans Saints. Saints are a 7-point favorite. The over-under is 41.5. This is the first game in the Superdome. Week 4, New Orleans is back home, back in action. And yeah, I'm going with the Saints in this one. I'm a big fan of their defense. I picked them up in a couple of fantasy leagues. Again, and with the Giants, I just haven't seen anything to make me believe to pick them to win this game. I mean, offensive line, garbage. And you have Saquon Barkley, such a great talent. The receivers are okay, but I'm going with the Saints defense in this one. I'm picking the Saints. I'm still kind of on the fence on the Saints offense with Jameis Winston. We've seen him be really good and we've seen him be really bad, but this defense is going to get the job done in New Orleans.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Tim. I also picked up the Saints defense in a couple leagues to start. This D has been playing lights out pretty much all season. I mean, what they did to Aaron Rodgers and the Packers week 1, that I feel like a lot of people are putting that game down as kind of a fluke for the Packers, but we got to give that Saints defense credit for what they did against him. So I think this should be a pretty good matchup for them against the Giants. Like you said, offensive line is terrible. I believe they're also down a couple starting wide receivers. I know Sterling Shepard for sure. I can't remember who the second one is. It might be Slayton or Evan Ingram. But they're down a couple receivers already. And even at full strength, I just don't like Daniel Jones in this offense. So I think this should be a pretty easy win for the Saints. It'll be interesting to see how Jameis and Kamara and the rest of that Saints offense can do against the Giants defense that doesn't have a lot of talent, but has overachieved in the past. This could be, a game where they try to get right on their end. But I believe their linebacker, Blake Martinez, their leading tackler from last year, tore his ACL, out for the season as well. So, I mean, you're missing a lot of pieces on defense. You're missing a lot of pieces on offense. You're on the road against the Saints team, who, like you said, it's their first game back in the Superdome. I think this is going to be an emotional victory for the Saints. And, Giants are going to be looking down that 0-4, 0-5 barrel once again. So, it's yeah, I mean, let's not overthink. The Saints are a better team than the Giants, and Giants have been 0-5 the last couple of years for a reason. So let's keep that going.
Yeah, absolutely. And now moving on to the other New York team that probably will also start 0-4, 0-5 as well. We got the New York Jets. They are hosting the Tennessee Titans right now, Joe. The Tennessee Titans are a 6-point road favorite. Currently, the over-under is 44.5. There's no Julio Jones. There's no A.J. Brown. So Derrick Henry is going to run 50 times for 1,000 yards and a bunch of touchdowns. But even without Julio and A.J. Brown, I'm still going with the Titans in this one. Much like the football team, Titans defense hasn't been fantastic this year, but this is a good a team to get that defensive mojo back, force a couple of turnovers against a young quarterback. So I'm going with the Titans in this one, Joe. Derrick Henry is going to be feasting, and it's going to be nice to see some of these younger or not as experienced wide receivers for the Titans, and even Titans and tight ends, get some good playing time and get some good quality touches and targets and everything like that. So I'm going with the Titans. I can't pick the Jets. Joe, how about yourself?
Yeah, I'm right there with you as well, Tim. I mean, I haven't seen anything from the Jets so far this season that really gives me, something to look forward to in watching them, or something to get excited about. Now, from what I understand, their defense is quietly having a solid season. But I mean, this offense has just been so bad. I mean, the O-line's still not good. The weapons aren't great. Zach Wilson has not, given us that franchise QB moment yet. So until I see that, it's hard to pick against, a team like the Titans, who coming off a big win. They've had a couple emotional victories recently. And, even without Julio and A.J. Brown, if they were going up against a little better team, I might have some concerns there. But when I saw it was the Jets, I was like, oh, okay, well, then Derrick Henry gets the ball 50 times and 1,000 yards, and my fantasy team does great. So this all works out. So easy win for the Titans, in my opinion, over the Jets. I just, again, I haven't seen anything really from Zach Wilson to, give me a reason to, be picking him over, a quality team like the Titans, or really over anyone at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've been talking about the Titans being up there in the AFC elite with the Chiefs, Ravens, Browns, Chargers, Bills. This is a game that you need to win convince, not maybe not like 45 nothing, but you got to win by a couple of scores and just dominate from kickoff to zeros on the clock. So we'll see if the Titans can pull this off. Next game on the 1 o'clock slate, Joe, we got your Philadelphia Eagles hosting the Kansas City Chiefs, the 1-2 Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs are a 7-point road favorite. The over under is 54. Joe, do the Eagles even have a chance?
After this Monday night game against Dallas and the game plan that Sirianni called, I'm gonna say no.
Hmm.
I mean, maybe he learned from his mistakes. Is like, we're not well equipped to win a shootout against teams that are literally designed to win shootouts. So maybe let's try to play some ball possession offense. Just control the clock. Control the ground, run game, and play okay defense. Try to force some turnovers. I just don't see it. We haven't seen Jalen Hurts beat a quality opponent yet this season. Same with Nick Sirianni. We haven't seen his play calling really, be a difference maker in a big game. And the offensive line is banged up once again. I mean, we're down 3 starters. It looks like Mailata's not going to play again
Hmm.
this week. So we got Andre Dillard, who had a pretty good game against Dallas, surprisingly, going up against Frank Clark if he goes. So I just don't like the matchups for the Eagles. We're not a team well equipped to score a lot of points and keep up with the Cowboys or Chiefs. So no, I don't think this is going to be a good game at all for us, Timmy B. But if we are able to pull it out with Andy Reid coming to Philadelphia, that would be pretty great. But I think if the Chiefs and Andy Reid win, that'll be his 100th win of his career. Which, if he does in Philadelphia, it would just be kind of like poetry. So that's how it'll probably go.
Hey, well, best of luck to Andy Reid getting that win. I'm going with the Chiefs as well. Much like some of the teams that we've just been talking about, just nothing really that I've seen from the Eagles that makes me believe that they can pull off this upset against the Chiefs. And of course, the Chiefs being 1-2, losing to the Chargers and the Ravens in some close games. Obviously, they are very eager and excited to maybe win a game 35-10 like they have been in the previous couple of seasons. And I think that this could be a good opportunity for them. But hey, that's why we play the game, so we'll find out for sure. So I'm picking the Chiefs as well. We are all in unison, and that'll probably change as now we're getting to a couple bit of some better matchups, Joe. Starting off, we got the Cleveland Browns at the Minnesota Vikings. Browns are currently a 2-point favorite on the road. Over under is 51.5. This is going to be a little bit of an interesting game. We've seen some good flashes from the Vikings beating the Seahawks at home last week. Dalvin Cook is still questionable, but it seems likely that he might be playing either way. Alexander Madison had 115 yards last week, so very serviceable handcuff. But Joe, I don't think this Vikings defense can handle not only Chubb and Hunt as the running backs, but also just the wide receivers that they have with Austin Hooper at tight end, Odell, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Baker Mayfield at quarterback, and again the Browns defense. I'm going with the Browns in this one. I wouldn't be shocked if the Vikings were to pull it off, and we might be wrong again. Like we continue to pick against the Vikings, and they pull off some wins against the Seahawks. So I'm going with the Browns. I think the offense is going to be a little too much for the Vikings defense, and on the flip side as well, I think the Browns defense is just going to eat Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you, Tim. I mean, I love picking against Kirk Cousins and the Vikings, so I'm not going to stop now. I understand they got a big win against Seattle last week,
Mhm.
but we've talked about all off season how Seahawks aren't looking as good. They've got this drama and a little bit of division within their organization with Russell Wilson and ownership. So I feel like that was kind of a loss for Seattle rather than a win for the Vikings. And, going up against a Browns team that has very high expectations for this season, played very good last year and are just very confident in themselves and, are well equipped to win, different ways. I think that the Browns should be able to win this, but if they get down early and Baker Mayfield has to bring them back, that's when
Mhm.
I'll be interested to see how he does in that situation because they just really haven't been forced to come back, from a deficit like the Chiefs have recently. So that's kind of really what I want to see out of Baker to determine is he really like, a really good quarterback. I think he's a pretty good quarterback. He's obviously a franchise guy, and he's winning the games that he should, making smart choices, making great throws. But we haven't seen him be down by multiple scores and need to lead multiple drives for points back to back to get them to win. So to be fair, I don't think that's what's going to happen this week, but that's kind of like what I would like to see out of Baker and the Browns, just so because I feel like that's the only way they haven't won at this point.
Yeah, and a huge X factor is the Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski coming over from Minnesota. He's very familiar with those offensive weapons, the system, as well as some of the defensive players and the way that they play. So I think Stefanski has kind of the upper edge in that, and the Browns are just a better team. And Joe, now it's time for a game that you normally probably wouldn't have your eyes on, but the Eagles have the Dolphins' first round pick, as well as potentially the Colts' first round pick, as well. Definitely in line for that to happen the way Carson Wentz just keeps playing and playing. So we have the Colts at the Dolphins. The Dolphins are a 2-point favorite. Over under is 42. Jacoby Brissett revenge game as well, kind of. I mean, I don't think there's any bad blood between him and the Colts, but still playing against his old team. Now, Joe, I would love to hear your thoughts. You alluded to it in our recap. Who do you want to win? And is that your pick? I guess give me your thoughts as an Eagles fan. What are you looking for in this game?
Yes, so who I want to win is also going to be my pick, so I can speak it into existence. So Dolphins are they 0-3 right now as well, or do they have one win?
They have one win. They beat the Patriots in week one. They are 1-2.
Yep. Okay. So not only do I want the Colts first round draft pick, but the reason we talked about how Wentz has to play a certain amount of snaps. Colts are 0-3 right now. They drop to 0-4 and continue losing. They're just going to bench Wentz to preserve the first round pick
Mhm.
if they
If they're out of it,
are
yeah.
eliminated. Yeah. So for that reason, give me the Colts in this game. They get the win. This is a moral victory for the Colts. They're like, we're fine. We got our first win. We're getting back on track. Maybe the Titans end up losing the game to the Jets, and the Colts feel great, and they're like, all right, Wentz, we're all in on you the rest of the year, and then we still get the first round pick. So I just want them to, lose a lot, and then just when they're about to bench Wentz, win a game, and then they're all in on once again, and then they lose a bunch, and they're about to bench him, win again. Titans lose. They're like, we got a shot. So I really need the Colts to win this game. I don't want them to bench Wentz and we don't get the first. Plus, then it makes the Dolphins draft pick worse as well, or better for the Eagles. Plus, I Jacoby Brissett had a pretty good game against the Raiders last week, but I still feel better about the Colts defense than I do about the Raiders defense. I know that they're playing well,
Mhm.
but I just think that this Colts defense is a lot more talented. And going up against a quarterback that they probably had to play against a lot while he was, on scout team. They're very familiar with Jacoby Brissett. So I think the Colts are going to be able to pull this one out, but I could see it going either way. I think it'll be a good game, and either way, I'll rationalize the outcome in my mind to be happy with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go the opposite of you, Joe. I'm going with the Dolphins, and you kind of were talking about the defenses right there. I kind of trust the Dolphins' defense a little bit more against this Colts offense and Carson Wentz. The Colts defense is still very good. I just like the Dolphins a little bit better, and they lost a game last week against the Raiders, which has huge AFC wildcard implications. Again, this game also does, despite the Colts being 0-3. They're going to be in the mix as well once they start playing the Jaguars and the Texans, more than likely. So this is a game that the Dolphins do need to win. You can't lose to the Raiders and then the Colts, because that doesn't help come tiebreaker season down in December and January. So I'm going to go with the Dolphins in this one. I think it'll be a fun game to watch, and it might just be who gets turnovers, who gets that extra turnover, that one or two turnovers. So it's going to be a turnover bonanza in this game, and I'm going with the Dolphins defense in this one. And the last 1 o'clock game of the day, Joe, is probably the biggest 1 o'clock game of the day. We got the Carolina Panthers at the Dallas Cowboys. 3-0 Panthers on some extra rest playing Thursday night football. Out on the road against the Cowboys. Cowboys are a 4.5-point favorite. The over/under is 52. No Christian McCaffrey and no J.C. Horn, but they did trade for C.J. Henderson, a first-round defensive back last year. This is going to be an interesting game, and this will be a good maybe test for both teams to see, are the Panthers actually a 4-0 and a legit contender for the playoffs and even the NFC title? And likewise for the Cowboys, can they win these games to help them out, get some more wins? Because we know the NFC East isn't good. So, Joe, what's your thoughts on this game, and who's your pick?
Yeah, I still don't think that the Cowboys are that good. And if McCaffrey and J.C. Horn were playing in this game,
Mhm,
I probably would go with the Panthers. But without McCaffrey, Darnold isn't equipped to throw 5 touchdowns,
mhm.
350 yards per game, and keep up with a high scoring offense. So hopefully the Panthers learn from the Eagles and realize our best chance of winning is ball control offense, time of possession, keep that Cowboys offense off the field, and that's how you win the game. I just after watching the Cowboys destroy the Eagles this week, the Panthers dealing with these injuries. Yeah, I just got to go with the Cowboys. Unfortunately, it pains me because I love picking against the Cowboys almost as much as picking against Kirk Cousins. But you know, I I got to get these wins when I can, Tim. So this
Yeah.
is unfortunately just my logical side kicking in rather than my emotional side.
Yeah, I'm with you as well. I'm going with the Cowboys, and I like the Panthers. I picked them to go to the playoffs, but I don't want to say the magic has run out. I just think the Cowboys' offensive weapons will be too much for this defense, especially without J.C. Horn. There's just too many weapons on the Cowboys, and again, the Cowboys. This is a game that they need to win. So I'm with you, Joe. Pains me to pick the Cowboys because I really do like the Panthers, and I really like what's
Yeah.
cooking in Carolina. But I got to go with the Dallas Cowboys in this one. So we're together on all the 1 o'clock games except for one. Might change in the 4 o'clock games because we have actually a couple of good games. We have two NFC West matchups. The first one will be picking the Seahawks at the 49ers. 49ers are a 2.5 point favorite, and the under is 52. Excuse me. And this is a good a test or see, or it's like more of like a how good are these teams or how bad are these teams that the 49ers really do dominate. Then it's like, okay, wow, Seahawks are not as good as we expected, but likewise, Seahawks win. And it's like, oh, okay, the Seahawks are still pretty decent. 49ers not as good as we think. So this is going to be a very interesting game in the NFC West. Joe, are you going with Russell Wilson or Jimmy Garoppolo
I think I'm going
or
with
Trey
Russell
Lance?
Wilson. Yeah, I think I'm going with Russell Wilson, the Seahawks. Watching the 49ers against the Eagles 2 weeks ago, I wasn't that impressed with them then. Um, they had a good effort against Green Bay. Um, but this team's bread and butter is running the football, playing strong defense.
Mhm.
If Jimmy Garoppolo is asked to throw a bunch, those are not the games that they usually end up winning. Just watching Jimmy G play, he does not look very sharp. You know, it, I think it's getting closer and closer to Trey Lance time. Um, yeah, I just trust Seattle and Russell Wilson a little bit more than Jimmy G right now. I think this game could go either way. Seattle's defense isn't very good. Their O line isn't great either. I just feel like he's going to make more plays than Jimmy G and the Niners offense are, and it'll be an ugly win, but a win.
Yeah, I am still sticking with the 49ers in this one. I went with the 49ers last week and I lost, but I'm still sticking with this. And pressure is on Jimmy G and Trey Lance as well. I mean, in the last 2 weeks, there was reports saying Rodgers wanted to play with the 49ers and they said no. We didn't think that that's much of an upgrade. And this week, Tom Brady even was like, 49ers are my first choice. And they were like, no, Jimmy G, like, you're not that much of an upgrade. So pressure's on Jimmy G and Trey Lance to be like Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady to deliver
Hmm.
some championships to San Fran for sure. But I think the key is the Seahawks defense, worst in the NFL, ranked 32nd. I think Kyle Shanahan is going to get very creative. I know there's a bunch of injuries in the running game, but they still have Debo Samuel. They still have Brandon Ayuk. So they're going to get creative with getting the ball in their hands, whether it's short passes, reverses, even just direct handoffs as well. So they're going to put the ball in their hands. They're going to roll down this Seahawks defense. So I'm going with the 49ers in this one for sure. And I think it might be, I think you're right. It's going to be an ugly game either way. So I'm just going to go with the 49ers to pull out the victory in this one. And then the other NFC West matchup, obviously, is the Cardinals and the Rams. Cardinals on the road in LA. Rams are a 4.5 point favorite. The over under is 54. And this is a huge game for both teams to go undefeated, go 4-0, and have a huge division win on likely the team that you're going to be competing with for the division title. So, Joe, Cardinals Rams, talk to me about it, baby.
Yeah, give me the Rams in this one. Just coming off a huge win against Tom Brady and the Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They've been playing really good football, winning a lot of different ways. Daryl Henderson is back for him
Mhm.
this week. And on the flip side with the Jags, I know that, or I'm sorry, with the Cardinals, I know they're undefeated, but coming off a game where they really struggled against Jacksonville, they're not going up against Jacksonville this week. They're going up against what might be the best team in the NFL, the most talented roster. So I think this will be a huge challenge for the Cardinals, and I think Aaron Donald has a really big game, and makes Kyler Murray uh, pressures him into some questionable decisions and some errant throws. So I think that the Rams are going to win the turnover battle, get more big plays, and yeah, Cardinals are going to struggle, and people are going to be talking about, are the Cardinals for real or are they frauds after this week?
Yeah, I'm with you as well, Joe. I'm going with the Rams, and I think it comes down to I think they're the better team. I love the Cardinals. I love what they're doing this season, and they're definitely going to be there in the playoff hunt for sure. Definitely in the playoffs. To me, the Rams are just more of a professional team. They are experienced. They know what they're doing with Matt Stafford and McVay. And that's not saying Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury aren't professional or anything like that. It's just like they're still kind of young. They're still kind of young in the NFL, where it's like now you're just playing the professional big boys, Stafford, McVay. The Rams have been here, done that before. Cardinals haven't in quite some time, and the Cardinals will be there in a couple years down the road. But the Rams are the safer pick. I'm very excited for this game, so I'm going with the Rams in this one to pull off the victory and to basically assert themselves as the best team in the NFC so far this season. Now we got a couple of AFC matchups, Joe. Well, AFC teams, excuse me. We got the Ravens and the Broncos. The Ravens are currently a half-point favorite. The Broncos were favored all week. It's been lingering around +1, +2 for the Broncos. Now it's on the other side, and the Ravens are a slight favorite. The over/under is 44.5. Joe, I would like to hear your thoughts. Of course, the Ravens are my team. So are the Broncos for real? Are they going to go 4-0, or are they going to get a nice little reality check playing the Ravens?
Yeah, I think this is a nice little reality check against the
Mhm.
Ravens. I like the Broncos. I think they're a good team. They're an above average team, and I mean they've done what they should be doing up until this point. They're dominating the teams that they should. They can't control their schedule, but the three teams they've beaten have a combined 0-9 record. So they haven't really had to face a stiff level of competition. Contrast that with the Ravens, who have played the Chiefs and won, played the Raiders and lost, but the Raiders are looking good right
Mhm.
now, and found a way to get a really emotional win over over the Lions this week. So I just don't think that the Broncos are equipped to win a game where they're not ahead the entire time. And I think that the Ravens, they can score in a hurry, and that defense is also pretty good. And this is just a winning organization, a high culture team. The Broncos are, like I said, still, you know, up and coming, and I just think Teddy Bridgewater caps their ceiling so much lower than Lamar does. So yeah, give me the Ravens in this game. I don't think it'll be that close of a game.
Oh, blocked pun.
The Arkansas, Georgia, nice
Yeah,
block punt, Brooke.
yeah, but I'm going with the Ravens as well. To me, this kind of reminds me of the game last year where we played the Colts. A couple of injury questions on the Ravens side, and the Colts were favored by 1 point or 2 points. We pulled out a 24-10 victory. To me, it kind of has that same feeling where it's like people are kind of riding this 3-0 Broncos. And like there's some injury questions on the Ravens, but at the end of the day, we're just the better team. We have the better roster, better coaching, and I don't think this will be a Lamar 35 nothing type of game where we're just running down. The Broncos defense is still very good and everything like that.
Right.
But I'm going with the Ravens in this one. Like you said, Teddy is their cap. He's a game manager. I think the Ravens defense will force a couple of turnovers, which Teddy hasn't been doing quite often this season. So I'm going with the Ravens in this one, obviously. And being in the thin air in Denver, I wouldn't be surprised if Justin Tucker tries to break his record that he set last week. They were already kind of joking, being like, if we can, we're gonna try. So definitely excited for that one, and hopefully the Ravens can get the steam rolling. And because we got the Colts next week, and I would like the Colts to be 0-5, so the Eagles don't get another first round pick. Just to
No, we need them to be 1-4 after this week, and then you guys win, Tim. That's fine.
All right, Joe. All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see in our recap if that does indeed happen. And then the other AFC North team, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're on the road at the Green Bay Packers, going to Lambeau Field. Big Ben versus Aaron Rodgers. Packers are a 6.5 point favorite. The over/under is 45.5. TJ Watt seems to be back. He said he was a full participant in Thursday and Friday, saying he's feeling good. So looks like he will be back there on that Steelers defense. Uh, but I can't pick the Steelers offense right now, Joe. I know the Steelers defense is elite, definitely going to probably force a turnover too with Aaron Rodgers, but at the end of the day, I'm picking Aaron Rodgers over this current Steelers offense with Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Tim. I mean, the only way that I see the Steelers scoring points and keeping this close is if Najee Harris has, his breakout game on the
Hmm.
ground. I mean, this Packers defense is susceptible against the run. And, if Najee can string together a couple drives where he's putting off big plays, scoring some touchdowns, and just he's really carrying the offense. I mean, that's like, I mean, you're only gonna slow down Aaron Rodgers so much.
Right.
You're gonna allow points. So how is the Steelers offense gonna find those points when their O line's been bad, Roethlisberger's been bad? You know, I just don't think this will be a good game for the Steelers. Yeah, give me the Packers in a pretty easy one.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So now we're going to Sunday Night Football, Joe. And I don't know if you know this, but Tom Brady used to play for the Patriots, and this is his first game back in New England as a member of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In case you didn't know, Tom Brady is making his return. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are a 7 point road favorite on the road to New England. The over under is 49.5. Joe, what are your thoughts on the, I guess, the famous homecoming of the NFL?
Well, let's not forget it's a homecoming for two other players as well, Tim, and Antonio Brown, who is activated off the COVID list and facing his old team in the Patriots as well. But also, what should have been a third player's
I know,
homecoming, Robert
doubtful.
Gronkowski,
Yeah,
he just got ruled out. He
he
did
did.
not
Okay, that is
travel.
good for
He did.
fantasy. That is good for
That is
fantasy.
bad for my fantasy because I
It's bad for
benched
my
Mike
fantasy team
Evans.
as well, but at least now I'm not waiting until Sunday at 7, and then I have to pick up some tight end on the Raiders or chart. Well, you can't pick up Darren Waller, so you're picking up.
Right.
They have. I think they also have Fells. I think so. Like, or they have like it's just nice knowing now that he's out that I
Yeah.
can pick up a tight end on any other team, basically.
Well, I benched Mike Evans for Jamar Chase, and now I wish I hadn't because Mike Evans probably going to get those red zone scores.
Hmm.
My thought process going into this is that Brady, Gronk, and AB are going to go off, and Evans isn't going to get as many targets or as many touchdowns. But
Right.
yeah, I think this is going to be just such an emotional game. I'm so excited to watch it. Brady's going to break the passing yardage record against his old team in Foxborough. Um, so it's going to be really interesting to see how Mac Jones does on the other side of the field and how he answers Brady. I mean, this is a kid who's played at Bama. He's now in New England. He's got the right mental makeup for this type of matchup, and you know I think that's really going to be just a really interesting storyline to watch because I expect Brady and this Tampa Bay offense to be able to move the ball and score points pretty consistently. So is the Patriots offense going to be able to? They don't have many weapons. It's really just Mac Jones. Mac Jones can find a way to keep this close. It'd be a great coming out game for him, but I don't think it will be that close. I think Brady's going in there angry, after not only losing this past Sunday, but everything that's been coming out this week about how his departure from New England really went. I think he's got so much motivation to do so well this week, and it's a defense and scheme that he's very familiar with, going up against it in practice for what 20 years. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think Brady should be able to have a really good game, and Bucks roll big time in this one, and New England fans are just going to be so torn the entire time. It's going to be an emotional roller coaster for them.
Yeah, I'm with you, Joe. Bucks are going to steamroll in this game. Now, wouldn't be surprised if the first drive or two might be a three and out because it will be a little bit emotional for Tom Brady. But at the end of the day, this is going to be a dominant performance from the Buccaneers. Buccaneers still one of the best teams in the NFL, if not still the best. I mean, even though they lost last week to the Rams, Patriots are uh, rebuilding. We'll say that they're with a rookie quarterback and everything. I'm going with the Bucks. This is going to be bad. It's going to be a fun game to watch. It's definitely going to be a nice spectacle. Everybody and their mother is going to be there at the game or in Boston or in that area. So Definitely rolling with the Bucks in this one. And now Monday Night Football, a great matchup for Monday Night Football, Joe. We got the Vegas Raiders at the Chargers. Chargers are a 3.5 point favorite. The over-under is 51.5. And this is huge, not only for the AFC West, as it seems like there could both of these teams could be competing with the Chiefs for that division spot, but also a AFC wild card spot. And this could be between maybe the 5 seed or the 6 seed. So this is a huge, huge game in Week 4 for Monday Night Football. Joe, are you going with the Raiders or are you going with the Chargers?
I'm going with the Chargers. I've been on Justin Herbert and the Chargers train for a while, and I know the Raiders have had a couple of good wins so far this season and are undefeated. It's just we know it's only a matter of time until the bad Derek Carr shows up, bad John Gruden, and the wheels just kind of fall off. Chargers looked real good. They're bought in with what Brandon Staley has been, coaching and preaching all off season. I really think this defense is going to force some errant turnovers. I mean, if you're able to force a bunch of turnovers against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, I think you should be able to do the same against Derek Carr and the Raiders. So I think defense plays well for Chargers. Their offense is humming. Mike Williams has been going off. Keenan Allen's been catching only first downs. Justin Herbert's playing great football. Austin Eckler is healthy and playing well. Offensive line is good. Yeah, I think the Chargers win in a big way, and I really think that this is a game where we're like, okay, Chargers are legit. Raiders not so much. Watch notice for the Chiefs and the rest of the NFL. Chargers are here. I mean, they've been on watch notice since they won last week, but I think with a big win this week against the 3-0 Raiders team, who's Derek Carr's a little bit chirpy, talking about how all the Raiders fans are going to be in SoFi Stadium, and how it's a home game for him. So I think that Chargers are going to take that a little bit personally and come out win big and really just put everyone on notice that they're here and they're here to stay.
Yeah, absolutely. You nailed it. I think that the magic is running out on the Raiders' undefeated season. I'm going with the Chargers as well. I think the key factor is Brandon Staley and his defense with Bosa and that secondary. They're going to get some turnovers for Derek Carr. Finally, some turnovers for Derek Carr, and I think the offense is just going to wither down that Raiders defense. Excellent offensive line. They're going to contain Max Crosby and Ngakoue and everybody on that defensive front. So I'm going with the Chargers as well. This will be a fun game to watch. And I do agree, if the Chargers do win convincingly, this will be all right. Chargers Chiefs, like, we're going to circle that game back in week 13, 14. That's probably going to decide the division for sure. So I'm going with the Chargers as well. And Joe, we're together on all games but 2. So we are riding the ship together. We are going to succeed or fail together. And we'll see with the Colts and Dolphins and the Seahawks and 49ers who is going to be victorious. Probably me, Joe. I'm going with Jacoby Brissett in his revenge game. And I'm excited for this week, man. Any final words for NFL Week 4?
Hey, shout out LaShawn McCoy signing a one-day contract with the Philadelphia Eagles and retiring.
You sure you don't want him to play this week? You might need him.
We might. His only regret is that he didn't spend his prime years in Philadelphia. So all I want to leave the viewers with is that Chip Kelly's gosh, I don't want to say a bunch of curse words on our podcast. I don't know if my dad's watching this sometimes or not. So screw Chip Kelly. I hate you, dude. Why did you get rid of LaShawn McCoy for Kiko Alonso? God, it makes me so mad. I love Shady. So glad he signed that one-day contract. But yeah, he should play Sunday, because if we could have a vintage LaShawn McCoy game, then that is our only shot against Kansas City Chiefs.
And don't forget, he played for the Chiefs for a little bit as well, so he does know
That's
Andy
right.
Reid and the
Andy
system.
Reid was the coach who drafted him.
Right. So I think Andy Reid would know how to get him down on the ground. But that is very cool for LaShawn McCoy. I have no final words over there. So that'll do it for this week's NFL picks. Make sure you guys tune in to middle of the week, where we recap all of the games and pick the Thursday night game for week 5 of the NFL. And I believe bye weeks start next week as well, Joe. So that'll be interesting to see who's on bye early on. But anyways, that'll do it for this episode of the Flea Flicker. As I just said, make sure you hit that thumbs up button to like this video and subscribe to the channel. That is Joey D over there. It's Timmy B. You guys have a great day. We'll see you soon.